بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سلام على عباده الذين اصطفى، سلام على المرسلين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وأنزله المقعد المقرب عندك. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة القائمة والصلاة النافعة، صل على محمد وارض عني رضا لا تسقط بعده أبدا. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك، وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد، وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد، وارحم محمد وآل محمد كما صليت وباركت ورحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد النبي وأزواجه أمهات المؤمنين والذرية وأهل بيته كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وترحم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما ترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم ترحم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما ترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم تحنن على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما تحننت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم سلم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما سلمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم على محمد وعلى آل محمد وارحم محمد وعلى محمد كما صليت وباركت وترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد النبي اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وبارك على محمد النبي الأمي كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد صلاة تكون لك رضا وله جزاء ولحقه أداء، وأعطه الوسيلة والفضيلة والمقام المحمود الذي وعدته، واجزه عنا ما هو أهله، واجزه أفضل ما جازيت نبيا عن قومه ورسولا عن أمته، وصل على جميع إخوانه من النبيين والصالحين يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم، وبارك على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل بيته كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل علينا معهم. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل بيته كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك علينا معهم. صلوات الله وصلوات المؤمنين على محمد النبي الأمي. اللهم اجعل صلواتك ورحمتك وبركاتك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما جعلت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وصلى الله على النبي الأمي. التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات الطيبات الصلوات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات لله الطيبات الصلوات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات المباركات الصلوات الطيبات لله. سلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. سلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. بسم الله وبالله. التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أسأل الله الجنة وأعوذ بالله من النار. التحيات لله الزاكيات لله الطيبات الصلوات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. بسم الله وبالله خير الأسماء. التحيات الطيبات الصلوات لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وأن الساعة آتية لا ريب فيها. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. اللهم اغفر لي واهدني. التحيات الطيبات والصلوات والملك لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله. التحيات لله الصلوات لله الزاكيات لله. السلام على النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. شهدت أن لا إله إلا الله شهدت أن محمد رسول الله التحيات الطيبات الصلوات الزاكيات لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين التحيات الطيبات الصلوات الزاكيات لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين التحيات الصلوات لله السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين التحيات لله الصلوات الطيبات السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله التحيات المباركات الصلوات الطيبات لله السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله بسم الله والسلام على رسول الله. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our salawat upon our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This week, inshallah, we will continue with the seerah of our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with regards to the belief of the pagan Arabs prior to Islam. So pre-Islam, before our Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came and he brought the message of Tawḥīd, what was the condition of the general masses in the Arabian Peninsula? So it's important for us to understand that. Why? So we can appreciate post-Islam. When we understand pre-Islam, then to appreciate post-Islam, when you understand what darkness they were in, these were the worst of people at that particular time. And when our beloved Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam brought Islam and Iman to them, they became the best people. That right till today, after 1400 years plus, we still talk about these people, and that is the Sahaba Ikram radiallahu anhum. But before they became Sahaba, they were idol worshippers. They were idol worshippers. So just some history on that, inshallah, so we can appreciate the pre and the post-Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through His infinite grace and mercy, Allah ta'ala always sends Anbiya. Allah ta'ala sends two things to people when people have lost their way. One is Kitabullah, divine scriptures, and with that Allah ta'ala sent Rijalullah. That is the men of Allah ta'ala, which are the Anbiya and the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَإِن مِّنْ أُمَّةٍ إِلَّا خَلَا فِيهَا نَذِيرٌ. There is no nation that has come into the world except that we have sent to them our deputy. And he came to warn them. He came to caution them. He came to cajole them and wake them up from their slumber, because they were steeped, they were deep and drowning in Allah's disobedience, and they were drowning in kufr and shirk. So which Arab was sent, which Prophet of Allah Ta'ala, which Nabi of Allah Ta'ala was sent to the Arabs? That was Ibrāhīm alayhi salatu wasalam. Ibrāhīm alayhi salatu wasalam was the first Nabi that was sent to the Arabs. In the last program, we discussed his whole genealogy, which tribe he came from. All that was discussed in the last program. Now, Ibrāhīm alayhi salatu wasalam came, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it such that He established certain practices. That is why in the Quran, Allah ta'ala tells us that وَاتَّبِئْ مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا. Follow the creed and the religion of your father Ibrāhīm alayhi salatu wasalam. Because he brought and he introduced a lot of aspects that right till today we practice and we sanctify and we hold with a lot of adab and respect. Just to quote some of them, Ibrāhīm ﷺ was the one who gave the Haram Sharif its status. Masjid al-Haram its status. Makkah Mukarramah its status. That in the precincts of the Haram Sharif, it was sanctified by Ibrāhīm ﷺ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala maintained the sanctity of the Haram Sharif right till today. And especially in the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, that you were not allowed to harm anybody or whether it was verbally, emotionally, physically in the precincts of the Haram Sharif. You were not allowed to attack anybody. You were not allowed to cut down any tree or break any leaf from or branch from a tree also. You were not allowed to cause any harm or taklif to any living thing that was in the Haram Sharif. Some of the Sahaba used to say, when this law was established from the time of Ibrāhīm ﷺ, and Nabi ﷺ revived and resuscitated all these laws that were lost, then Sahaba would say that the murderer of your own family member or your own father would be making tawaf of the Kaaba. You can see him, but you can't lift up a finger on him. You can't touch one hair on his body. Why? Because he is in the precincts of the Haram Sharif. So right till today, how many thousands and thousands of years ago this was established by Ibrāhīm ﷺ, and it's still maintained right till today in our deen. The second thing that we see that still has a lot of honor, respect and dignity in our deen is known as Ashhurul Hurum. Ashhurul Hurum are the 4 sacred months. Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, Muharram. Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, Muharram and Rajab. These are known as Ashhurul Hurum. These 4 months in the Islamic calendar, they are sanctified and they have a higher level than all the other months. This was established by none other than Ibrāhīm ﷺ. And till today, till this present day in our deen, we sanctify these 4 months. In the time of the pagan Arabs, they also respected these months, that in these 4 months, no fighting would take place. So even if 2 tribes were at loggerheads and war with each other, they had to put down all weapons when it came to these 2 months, these 4 months. They could not fight and they could not take retribution. After these 4 months had passed, then they could resume and sort out the issues and work out their differences. So right till today, in our deen, in Deen Islam, these 4 months are also sanctified. Then the whole journey and the whole ibadat and the whole ritual and the different manasik of Hajj was established by Ibrāhīm ﷺ. Over thousands and thousands of years ago, until today, alhamdulillah, exactly what Ibrāhīm ﷺ used to do in the Hajj, this is what today's Hujjaj will do, exactly how Ibrāhīm ﷺ did it. Then we come to the 4th aspect, which is directly linked up to Ibrāhīm ﷺ, and it's still prevalent in the Ummah, and it will continue right till Qiyamah, and that is the Qurbani. That is the sacrifice, the Udhiyah, the Yawmun Nahar, the 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th of Dhul Hijjah, when we celebrate our Eid and we sacrifice animals. This was also established by Ibrāhīm ﷺ. Now, when right till today, if you look at the objection against Islam by the Orientalists, they've written books and they say, this is obviously unfounded and it's incorrect, but they say that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam took the pagan Arab rituals and he added on a few things and he made his own religion, which is Deen Islam. But if you look at these things that are in our deen now, it was actually established in the time of Ibrāhīm ﷺ, and Rasulullah ﷺ just continued it when he came and he was given nubuwwat. Then he revived and he resuscitated all these manasik and all these important things and customs of our deen. So these are not pagan practices. These are actually were established by Ibrāhīm ﷺ, and Nabi ﷺ revived it. So what was the belief system of the Arabs before the coming of Rasulullah ﷺ? We know that they were idol worshippers. They used to worship idols made out of their own hands. Now when you would ask the pagan Arabs of that time, pre-Islam, who do you believe in? They'll say, we believe in Allah. So you ask them the next question, and why do you worship idols? So they would respond and say that Allah Ta'ala is too lofty, too high, too mighty, too powerful. Through the agency of these idols, we connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was their belief. We have to use them as an agency. We have to use them as a bridge to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we don't have them, we cannot connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was their distorted belief that they had. Now, it is recorded by the historians that the Arabs were absolutely intelligent people. And they were astute businessmen also. But when it came to their belief system, with all the intelligence, with all the money they made, with all their business acumen, with all the experience, they just couldn't wrap their head around what was right and what was wrong. To such an extent, they would even worship a stone. They would find a beautiful stone. They would now make that stone their idol. They would worship that stone. They would make tawaf around that stone. And as they were traveling somewhere and they found a rock or a stone that was more beautiful than the one they had, they would discard this one and they would start worshipping that one. So such intelligent people, when shaitan deceives a person, when shaitan takes a person off the Siratul Mustaqim, no matter how intelligent he is, no matter what degrees he's got, no matter how wealthy he is, no matter how famous he is, when shaitan messes with his mind, then the simple things of aqidah and belief and what to worship, how to worship, he won't be able to work that out. That also applies to today's times. We have to be absolutely careful of this concept of bid'at. Shaitan will come and say, it's such a beautiful practice, and it's something that something that will get you closer to Allah Ta'ala. And people start these actions of bid'ah. Now, what's dangerous about bid'ah? Is a person thinks he's practicing on deen. So he won't get tawfiq to make tawbah from that sin because he thinks, no, this is deen. So these people were also so misled. One Sahabi narrated an incident. He said, we were so deviated that we would be traveling in the desert and we would forget to take our so-called deity, one small stone, one rock. So what we would do is, we would search in the desert, but we couldn't find a rock. We would gather sand together. Then we would milk the goat and use the goat milk to give it some form and shape, and then we would worship that. Ya Allah. This is when shaitan misleads, a person or a nation. Then intelligent people, they lose all their intelligence. So to that level they would go. In the time of the pagan Arabs, there is a famous story that is mentioned. The lady's name was Na'ila, and the man's name was Asaif. So Asaif and Na'ila, not a very palatable, not a good story, but we need to understand where this came from. They got involved in a haram relationship. But there's a lesson that we will draw. And it became so uncontrollable that they ended up committing haram and zina in the Kaaba Sharif. This was recorded by the Arabs. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to set an example, Allah ta'ala turned them both to stone. They both were transformed into stone. When the Arabs found this, they realized what had happened. And because of their jahalat and their ignorance, they said that this is a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they took Na'ila, who was the female, put her on Safa, and Asaif on Marwa. And the pagan Arabs, when they would do their sa'i, they would run between Safa and Marwa, and they would touch both these idols and worship them. This was the level of jahalat and ignorance they went to. So when Islam was introduced, and when the Hajj of Rasulullah ﷺ was introduced, taught by Rasulullah ﷺ, the Arabs who became Muslim felt very uncomfortable to do the sa'i between Safa and Marwa. They felt it very uncomfortable because of what had happened, and because previously there were idols on both these mounts. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cleared this, and Allah ta'ala says, Inna as-safa wal marwata min sha'a'ilillah. This is when this ayat of the Quran came down, to remove the doubt from the Arabs that whatever happened in the past is the past. These places are now sanctified. Allah Ta'ala has sanctified them in the Quran. Allah says, Safa and Marwa are from the sha'air of Allah, from the great signs. Forget about what happened in the past. And now after your tawaf, you will do your sa'i, and then your umrah or your hajj will be complete, according to whatever is required. Another thing the pagan Arabs did, because they were so steeped in idol worship, they had approximately 360 idols inside and around the mataf of the Haram Sharif. Inside the Kaaba and in and around the mataf area, 360 idols. Some of these idols were human, some of these idols were in the form of an animal, and some idols were half human, half animal. And they would give each one a quality. So this is the idol of rain, that's the idol of wind, that's the idol of rosy and sustenance, that's the idol of protection. So they had to go to those idols and they would pray to them and obviously do haram and shirk, obviously. Now this was the condition. And Rasulullah ﷺ grew up in this environment. Exactly like how Ibrāhīm ﷺ grew up in an environment of shirk, Nabi ﷺ also grew up in this environment. But it was not palatable. It just didn't make sense to Rasulullah ﷺ. What are my people doing? What are my people doing? This just doesn't make sense. However, amongst the Arabs at that time, there were a few people. There was a group of people who never worshipped idols. And they were known as the Hunafa. They were known as the Hunafa. Hunafa means to turn away from one thing and to turn to something else. So why they were called Hunafa? They turned away from idol worship and they turned towards Tawḥīd. And they would actually speak out against the idols. And they would promote this worship of one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amongst them, there was a small group. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was attracted to these people and he would meet with these people. He was much younger, he was a teenager, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and these people were much older. But he would meet with them. Amongst them, there are some famous names. We will just go through them. One is Waraqa bin Nawfal. Inshallah, we'll speak about him. Then we had Ubaydullah bin Jahash. Then Uthman bin Huwairis. And Zayd bin Amr bin Nufail. These were four of them. I'll just touch on two of them quickly. Waraqa bin Nawfal was the cousin of Khadija radiyallahu anha. He was searching, he was on Tawḥīd, worship of one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He studied many of the scriptures. And he spoke out against the idols. When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam got his first wahi, Khadija radhiyallahu anha knew that my cousin is knowledgeable, he's much older than me, let me take Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and go there. And this is when he asked Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam what had transpired. And then he said, I can identify what has happened. The person came to you was the archangel Jibrāīl alayhi salatu wasalam. He also came to Musa alayhi salam, he came to, and he mentioned, and then he said to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that you know what, you are chosen as the final Nabi of Allah. Now, it's not a mistake, it's what's famous and not what's not famous. Famously, we know that the first man to accept Islam was Abu Bakr radhiyallahu anhu. Was actually Waraqa bin Nawfal. He was the first man to accept Islam. He accepted Islam. He said, I know who you are. You are definitely the final Nabi of Allah. The angel came to you and he said to Khadija radhiyallahu anha, before that he said, first I accept Islam. And Khadija radhiyallahu anha mentioned after a few days he passed away. Subhanallah, like it was Allah Ta'ala was just keeping him alive to accept Islam, subhanallah. Then he said, he turned to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said that I'm going to tell you of the experiences of the previous Anbiya, that your own people are going to turn against you. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, what? He says, yes. Remember, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was at the age of 40. Waraqa bin Nawfal was in his late 80s, almost turning 90. He said, I'm telling you from what I've studied. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was very confused because, remember, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was known as As-Sadiq Al-Amin. In the entire Makkah, he was the only one who was trusted. People would take their expensive jewelry, they would take precious items, priceless things and leave it in his care and his amanat. His names and his titles were As-Sadiq Al-Amin, the most truthful, the most trustworthy. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is saying, these people here love me. This is what I'm telling you what's going to happen. You're going to go through great tests, and your greatest test is your own family are going to turn against you. So this was already said to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam by Waraqa bin Nawfal. I want to touch on one more of these four names. Zayd bin Amr bin Nufail. Zayd bin Amr bin Nufail also Rasulullah ﷺ said that I learned a lot from Zayd bin Amr bin Nufail when I was a young boy, and he was much older, and he would speak out against the idols, and he would speak about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I drew a lot from him. And he also accepted Islam before he, he passed away 4 years before Nabi Sallallahu was given Nubuwwat. But he died on Tawḥīd. He died on, the ulama are written, most probably also he died on Islam because of his belief. Now, what lesson do we learn from this? There was a small group who were living in a community that was drowning in idolatry, but they stuck to the truth. Always stick to haqq no matter what's happening around you. Even if the whole community is doing something wrong, you always stick to what is right. This is what we're learning from these amazing people known as the Hunafa. Okay, just to touch on this person who passed away as a Muslim. He passed away 4 to 5 years before the Nubuwwat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, who was his son? His son was Sa'id bin Zayd. So his name was Zayd bin Amr bin Nufail. His son was Sa'id bin Zayd. Anyone knows who Sa'id bin Zayd? Anyone heard that name of this great Sahabi? Ji? MashaAllah. One of the Ashara Mubashara. But many of us haven't really heard this name. He was from those 10 Sahaba that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave the glad tidings of Jannah in this world. Sa'id bin Zayd. This was his father. Zayd bin Amr bin Nufail. Sa'id bin Zayd was married to the sister of Umar radiallahu anhu. He was married to, he was the brother-in-law of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. A few things about his father, so Sa'id bin Zayd's father, is that he would speak out against the idols, and one thing that he was very, very passionate about was that he would actually stop the pagan Arabs from burying their daughters alive. He was completely opposed to this, and this would upset him. And then eventually he would actually go to them and say, okay, don't kill that baby. Give her to me, I will adopt her as my child. And like this he adopted, they say they don't know how many little young girls, and he would bring them up and look after them like his own daughters. Subhanallah. So you get amazing people in history, brothers. It's about us to take from history, take from the seerah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and learn these noble qualities. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said something about him. Sa'id bin Zayd asked Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, "Oh Nabi of Allah, tell me something about my father, because I was a small baby when my father passed away. Tell me something about my father." So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told him that this is what your father used to do. He used to rescue the young girls, and he would make them his daughters. Then also, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to him, your father was an amazing man, because your father was an ummah on his own. Your father was an ummah on his own. Subhanallah. That's how amazing your father was. And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to him, inshallah we'll finish off with this. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to him, "Oh Sa'id, I want to tell you one more thing about your father. When I went for Mi'raj, I saw Jannah, and I saw your father in Jannah, and Allah had given him 2 gardens, not 1. 2 Jannats, not 1. So brothers, the good actions that we do, the good actions in uplifting humanity, in trying to do what's right when everybody else is doing wrong, Allah Ta'ala has shown us our reward is secure in Jannah. Allah Ta'ala make us true humanitarians. Allah make us where we can spend our health, our wealth, our time to uplift the community, to imbibe Iman in the next generation. You know, to do what is right no matter what the rest of the community or the ummah is doing. We need to do what's right. Allah Ta'ala inspire you, inspire me. Inshallah we will finish off. Brothers can make their own dua. It's about 5 minutes, 6 minutes for dua, inshallah.